Welcome to the Shiny Side. And today we are here as the Shiny Side Selection Committee. We will be selecting what we think should be the squad for the World Cup coming up in June for Pakistan. And the fact of the matter is that Pakistan now has no more T20s left until the squad is announced. The squad is typically announced a month before the World Cup starts, and our next series in England is actually after that. So there is, of course, the PSL, but in the meantime, we'll see what we think the squad looks like as we sit. And I have with me selector from the Middle East is Omer Qazi. How are you doing, Omer?
I'm doing well, Faris. How are you?
Very well. And from North America, we have representing us Omer Basir from Houston. How's it going, Omer?
Hey, good. Excited to be part of the selection committee.
Yeah, so let's see what Wahab and the boys get up to when they're together. But basically, I think the best way to set this up is, right, I'll quickly talk about the team structure we have in mind. And if you guys have a different view on that, please let me know. So I think the rough structure is we need at least 7 batsmen, maybe more depending on the mix. We need at least 2 spinners. We need at least 5 quicks. And ideally speaking, there should be two of the bowlers should be all-rounders, right? Whether it's seamers. So that's the balance we're going to go with overall. Now, the 6 players who I think there's no debate on, and I could be proved wrong, but I'm going to say 6 names, and I feel like all of us feel like they should be part of the squad, if not the 11. And those 6 players are, there's Rizwan, there's Babar, believe it or not, some people out there. There's Rizwan, there's Babar, and there's Fakhr with the bat. And then there is Shaheen, there is Naseem, and there's Haris Rauf. I'm assuming all of us still feel like they all make the squad, right? There's no discussion there. Okay, great.
Absolutely.
So moving on, I guess the question now becomes, let's start with the batsmen, right? So we need at least 4 more, and one of them perhaps needs to be a wicketkeeper as well. So starting off at the top, maybe we can do it. So what we do is I can go player by player, and then if I miss out on anybody, please feel free to add them. Do you two feel like Saim should be in there? Who wants to go first? Qazi, you want to go first?
Definitely, Saim makes it. Yeah. He should not have been dropped for the 5th T20 either. I don't know why he was. Yeah. But Saim needs to play. He's your most promising T20 batsman in Pakistan. And the more chances he gets, the better it'll become.
Yeah, and in my view, also somebody with track record of success in the CPL, especially in the finals. We can clearly also play under that kind of pressure. Omar, your view on Saim?
Yeah, totally echo the sentiments. He's shown the most promise. He's played some, amazing cameos. So he makes it for me, for sure.
So it looks like we have essentially probably a first 11 top 4, right? We have Saim, Babar, in whatever order, Babar, Rizwan, Saim, and Fakhr. Now, I guess the other 3 batsmen we need to select are perhaps less obvious to me at least. Ifti, where do you guys, and by the way, just for the record, if there's a view at the end where 2 of us think somebody should be in, then we go with that view, right? So that's how we'll otherwise the show will go on forever. Ifti, Omar, you want to go first on Ifti?
Yeah, Ifti makes it for me. There's 3 slots to fill, I think, in that middle order. He's probably the only one that's confirmed, given his experience in the last few T20s. Recent form may not be the best, but he's that he can bowl spin. He makes it for me for sure.
Okay, Qazi?
Yeah, I think the same, and it's okay for him to have 1 bad series. It's fine. He's performed in every other series preceding to this one. So, yeah, definitely in.
So clearly, regardless of what I say, he's making it the squad, but that's how we set up. I just have this one thing about Ifti is, I still remember that final in England, against England, which I saw with you, where he played out a maiden over against Adil Rashid, the 15th over, and that still makes me want to pull my hair out. He clearly has challenges starting against spin. Having said that, I would still put him in the 15, right? And also, I think him being the only batsman who can bowl really kind of finishes off that argument, right? So I guess now with the other 2 spots, right? There's no obvious answers, to be honest. So I'm going to rattle off a list of batsmen, and if you guys feel like I'm missing off somebody, which are the 2 you would go with? So let's just do it that way, right? So there is, of course, we've done Simon Ifti. There's Mohammad Haris, who we left out. There is Azam Khan. There is Asif Ali, because I was thinking of options. There's Sahabzada Farhan. There's Khushdil Shah, and there's Hasibullah. So, Qazi, you want to go first? Which 2 do you think would you go for from these?
Mohammad Haris and Azam Khan.
Interesting.
So, look, in my mind, in all T20 cricket that Pakistan players play in Pakistan around the world, there are no better batsmen in the T20 mold than Azam Khan, Mohammad Haris, and Saim. And these may not be your most consistent batsmen, but they are the kind who can change a game very quickly, score very quick runs, and the day they come off, they'll be unstoppable. So I think they need to play more and more for Pakistan, opposed to anyone else.
Okay.
And even Azam Khan, I think, should not have been dropped after the 3 T20s in New Zealand. Should have played the 4th and 5th. Give him time. Let him flourish. No better hitter than him in all of Pakistan.
Okay, Omer, so let's spread this up. First, let's talk about Haris. What's your view on Haris?
Haris is a little bit hard for me to break down. You know, when he just miraculously came in that World Cup for us, he played those really good knocks. Since then, he's had a few good knocks, but you know, my two people actually are the same as surprisingly same as Omer, and I say that because when you have Babar and Rizwan in the team, you can afford to go with high impact players around them, which comes with high risk, right? So you know, Haris makes the cut there. Azam is, you've said it many times, our best spin hitter, which we need. I mean, in the West Indies,
if I can just add here, statistically, the 3rd highest strike rate against Spain in all T20 cricket, at least last year, in a 2-year period, right? So that can't be coughed at.
Yeah, and you know, the pitches, keeping in mind the pitches, a lot of teams will have, you know, maybe 3-pronged spin attacks. I think we need somebody, and we've traditionally struggled with hitting spin in the middle of overs, and you gave that example of Ifti. So I think having an Azam coming in there, I think it gives you a really good option.
Okay, interesting. So I guess, look, on Haris for me is a no-brainer. Given the kind of knocks he played, I know it was a World Cup 13 months ago, right? But if under that kind of pressure cooker, you can take on guys like Rabada and everybody else he took on. Effectively, the way I see it, he's the one who turned that World Cup around for us, right? When he came in and started taking on Rabada in that fashion. So for me, Mohammad Haris, and also we need a backup wicketkeeper, I guess, so he makes it. And also, if you look at given that he probably may not even be in the starting 11, we need a backup opener of sorts, right? And he can also do that role. So he also your wicketkeeper. So he makes it for sure. On Azam, I'm generally inclined, I guess, for the sake of argument, what do we think of, and I haven't seen him play in a while, what do we think of Asif Ali at this point? Or Hasibullah? Because any views on those guys?
I gave Asif Ali serious thought. I still remember the couple of mini match-winning knocks he played, right, in the last World Cup or last 2 World Cups. So I did have to go and look him up. But the problem is, nothing's happened since then, and nothing's transpired into bigger knocks. We expect to give him a longer rope, given, you know, the style he plays. But those winning knocks have been very, very few and far between. And really, for me, it was still okay. What it came down to me is, when there is a spinner bowling and Asif Ali comes in, there is almost like a, you know, single-digit chance of success. And it came down to
brain fade also.
You know, so to me, that was what really kept him out of the squad.
Okay, interesting. Because I feel like, you know, for me, when I was thinking who else, Asif Ali probably was a strong. The other thing is, guys, obviously the PSL is coming up, right? So there will be. I feel like the marginal calls could be impacted by the PSL. Asif Ali, for the first time, is not part of the PSL. He's actually playing for Peshawar Zalmi, which is led by Babar. They've got Saim and Haris. So they will all be playing together. And it sounds like a pretty decent batting lineup, actually, on a slightly different note.
Yeah,
with a pretty good Pakistani contingent. But so it'll be interesting to see how they perform. But I think at this point, we go with this. So we have a 7 batsmen. Now let's do the fast bowlers first. We already have Shaheen, Haris, Naseem. For me, Wasim Jr. is quite a clear 4th. Omar, do you want to go first? Do you agree with that? Or is Wasim Jr. a yes for you?
Yeah, Mohammad Wasim Jr. is definitely a yes to me, yes. He is my 4th best bowler in Pakistan. And do you want me to give you my 5th one?
Sure. And just for a comment, like, any thoughts on why you think Wasim makes it for you before we go on to...
I mean, his recent form is a big part to play, but he's always been very consistent in his performances. He's, you know, almost like a replacement for like replacement for Haris Rauf in the middle. So really fits in well there. And then I think, you know, we've struggled with new bowling. He is probably better than Haris Rauf with the new ball. He's not the best, I think, but he still can do the job. And for me, then that's where new ball, you know, replacement Naseem, Shah or Shaheen is where I think Zaman makes the cut, where I think he can do better with the new ball compared to most of these guys.
So you would go with Wasim and Zaman, is that right? Omar, okay. Qazi, what's your take on the 2 bowlers?
Wasim Jr., yes, and I think he should be playing a lot more for Pakistan than he does. He should have played in the test against Australia and all the 5 T20s. I feel he should have been given more chances. Zaman Khan, yes, I do like him, but I'm leaning towards Abbas Afridi. I was really impressed by his debut and his performance in the series against New Zealand. I think Abbas Afridi has a lot of promise. So I don't know if 6 fast bowlers is a bit much, but I would, if it's a choice of 2, I'd go for Wasim Junior and Abbas Afridi. I think Abbas Afridi can really, really do
So
well.
I guess the other guys which are potentially in the mix are probably, just for the put out there, are is Ihsanullah. I don't know how long his injury is going to be out for, but there's also Hasnain, there's also Dahani. Having said
Hassan Ali.
I mean, people I thought we would potentially
Hassan Ali is always in the mix. He's always in the mix. He'll be dancing somewhere, making it into the squad because someone will be enjoying.
Somehow he'll make it.
But I think that disclaimer on PSL performances comes in again, right? I think a lot of it depends on how people do there.
Absolutely.
And I honestly gave Abbas Afridi serious thought. His bowling has been good, and he's hit like I think a 6 or 2 every time he's come out to bat as well. So which is great.
So I think again, I feel like it's an interesting. I don't have an obvious one for me. I think the thing with Abbas Afridi is till 2 weeks ago he would not have been in this conversation for me. Even though I really liked what I saw in Multan, but I really liked what I saw him do in New Zealand. I think Zaman is probably the opposite. I feel like I don't think he was special in this series, but given what we've seen him do over the years, and he's got a very specific skill. So I feel like if you need someone to backload at the back of the innings only, and you can do that, he's probably as good as anybody else out there. Abbas is probably, again, right, if you want someone a bit more versatile, he would probably go in the, he could probably bowl in the middle overs, maybe even in the end of the power play, perhaps. But it's a tricky one. But I feel like given that we have gone already with Shaheen, with Mohammad Haris Jr. and Shaheen, Naseem and Haris, I would probably lean towards Zaman, with Abbas Afridi being my 6th. Qazi, do you want to have a go at convincing us otherwise?
Yeah, look, I think if Shaheen, Naseem and Haris are fully fit and firing, the 4th and 5th bowler in the squad pacer will not matter. Because I don't see us playing 4 pacers. We'll probably be playing 3 of them in the US and West Indies. So whether it's Abbas Afridi or Zaman Khan or Mohammad Haris or it's Mohammad Hasan or even Hassan Ali, it's okay. They'll be warming the bench.
Okay. So now we have our 7 batsmen and 5 fast bowlers down. Now let's move on to the spinners now. So by the way, when I was making my list of 6, right, of people who there's no doubt about, I almost had a 7th name which I took out. So I'm going to say it, and Qazi, you can go first. Shadab Khan. Did he make it for you?
He has to make it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's the first name on the list.
Yeah.
When it comes to spinners.
Omer, is Shadab in for you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. He's in my every starting 11 for Pakistan.
Yeah, same. So I mean, I was having this thought.
Just because he didn't do well in ODIs,
yeah,
just because he didn't do well in ODIs doesn't mean that he's out of contention in T20.
So my view on Shadab was, for me, it's a definite starter, but I was like, I feel there's enough doubt now where I couldn't be sure that everybody would agree on that. So, but good to see. I guess we're clear on Shadab. Now, I guess the other question is,
I think it also, sorry for Reese, but what does help us is we don't have a huge list of spinners sitting on the bench, right? And Shadab's got enough brand and history that he makes it.
True. And like Qazi said, I think he's shown some, like, he's been struggling in form in ODIs, but in T20 he's still been pretty good. I guess the other question is, now we have 2 more slots in the squad. So typically, I think I agree with Qazi, we'll probably go in most games with 3 quicks and 2 spinners. So we probably need 3 spinners. Right here, we could go for a 6th quick as well, but you're probably better off going with 2 spinners because you need a backup for everybody. So who's our best spinner out and out right now? Is that going to be Abrar if he's fit?
He hasn't played, so how is he a best?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking. So I mean, it was the one way. If I tell you who this list of spinners I have, I'll name 3, and we need to pick 2. There's Nawaz, there is Osama Mir, there is Abrar, and there is Usman Qadir.
Okay, so Osama Mir and Usman Qadir don't make it. There's no way you take them.
Yeah.
Nawaz, I guess just because of the way he batted in New Zealand, I think probably makes it. It's Shadab and Nawaz. Your 2 all-rounders, your 2 bowlers. Because there is no one else. Abrar, I don't know. We have not seen him in T20 in white ball cricket. I don't know how he'll be. And बाकी और कोई है ही नहीं है spinner हमारे
पास. I mean, I can't even think of anybody, to be honest.
It wasn't mentioned earlier. Like Nawaz makes my starting 11, by the way, guys. I mean, he also can open the bowling. Nawaz can open the bowling as well. He did well in the last T20 all-rounder.
I think your number 7 and 8 are Shadab and Nawaz.
Like Qazi was saying, right? I feel like I especially love Nawaz as an option in the batting order. I loved having the option of sending someone like him who's left-handed. And to be honest, we say he's a good spin hitter, but he takes on pace pretty well as well, right? Like he's shown that in the PSL and the international cricket, right? So he's clearly somebody who's strong. So I guess Shadab and Nawaz are in for sure. And then there's one more slot for a spinner. By the way, it's interesting. So Abrar till last year would barely even get a PSL game. This time again, he's in the. So I mentioned Peshawar Zalmi. Both Usman Qadir and Abrar are in the playing for Peshawar Zalmi this time. I'm not even sure who the number 1 spinner is technically, right? So it'll be interesting to see how Abrar does and whether he's even the number 1 spinner or not. Because I would probably, as things stand, I feel like Abrar is probably that X-factor spinner, provided he's fit enough and provided he's like bowling reasonably well enough in the PSL. Do you guys have a different view on who the 3rd spinner should be? Qazi, go first.
Not really. I don't know. I honestly, I have no spinner inside, but I was just thinking of another pacer, Omer Jamal. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Test cricket, he did really well. He's done all right in T20s. He gets hit around. He has a very bad economy rate. But I remember him defending 12 runs of the last over against Moeen Ali on his debut T20. He can hit the ball as well. So maybe he's a prospect. I don't know.
Would you select him? Are you saying you would select him over? Would you select him over, in your words, Abbas Afridi / Zaman, or would you saying you have him a 6th bowler and only play 2 spinners?
I will not select him as in the top 5 pacers.
Okay.
But if we don't have any spinner who makes it into the 11, then your 15th member of the squad could be an Omer Jamal. And in games where you don't play 2 spinners, you could play Omer Jamal and Shadab Khan and your 3 quicks. I mean, I'm just thinking, but maybe there's some pitches where 4 paces would be useful.
This will throw some debate, but I forgot to mention Fahim Ashraf, by the way. So if anyone thinks he can be in the 15 as well, like he's also an option for a quick or a.
By the way, there can be no selection committee meeting without mention of Fahim Ashraf, Hassan Ali, or Sarfraz Ahmed, or Mohammad Amir, or Shoaibmalik, or Imad Wasim. I think we need to discuss them as well. And maybe, because I'm sure leading up to the World Cup squad selection, everyone will be talking about calling these guys back.
So, I mean, true.
For me, since my top 4 pacers had Zaman, or top 5 had Zaman in it, Abbas Afridi makes it for me way before. All right, for me, Omer Jamal is not in the picture at all. But going back to your original question on spinner, something who really is sticking their hand up. So if that's where for me it's all about PSL, I would pick whoever does really well in PSL. It could even be Usama Mir. Usama Mir, he's still relatively new. ODIs, he struggled. Yes, I mean, I'm just saying he could be the best in the PSL. I mean, am I still going to pick Abrar over him if he hasn't done well in PSL?
I mean, look, not, right? I think the question is, I think how do you look at the selection? Right? There's different ways of setting up the squad. My view is if you have your best 11, and then you probably need a backup for everybody in that squad, right? So if you're going to play 2 spinners anyway, and you only have Shadab and Nawaz, if they get injured, and you don't have a 3rd spinner, then you don't have a spinner for that game. So I would probably still go with the 3rd spinner. Sure. For me, Omer Jamal doesn't make the cut, and for me, it doesn't, definitely not over Abbas or Zaman or Wasim Jr. for sure. So I feel like, and I think going back to the point I think Omer was making, right, where we can be, if we have 2 solid guys like Babar and Rizwan, and your 7 and 8 are Shadab and Nawaz, then you have the option of going a lot more aggressive with the other picks, right? Like with the Saims and the Mohammad Harises and so on and so forth. So I think, are we agreed on Abrar? I mean, my pick is Abrar. Do you guys have a different view on this at this point, or is it PSL mein dekhenge for the last spinner? Okay, cool. So I'm just.
But my other question. Okay, so I have a question. If Shadab or Nawaz, one of them get injured, you replace them in the 11 with a spinner or an all-rounder, because they're covering both those roles.
So for me, Ifti should take on the bowling. Ifti is probably our next best spinner.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, look, I think
he's already in the 11.
Yeah.
But the problem is, I also feel like there should always be a 6th bowling option. If you're going in with 5 bowlers, including Ifti, then you're a bit light.
Iftikhar hai na. So 5 bowlers plus Iftikhar.
That always works for me. That's fine for me. But I'm just saying, if you replace Shadab or Nawaz, I mean, to be honest, playing both Shadab and Nawaz is a bit of a luxury that way, because one of them will bat at 8 from a batting point of view, I mean. So I guess if Shaheen Afridi can bat half as well as he thinks he can bat, we have a bit of a good number 8 over there. And
yeah, so I think to that question, I guess, is if he takes on the immediate spin bowling roles, and I probably bring in that's where having like an Abbas Afridi in the squad is great, where he can be my 5th, 6th bowling option, and maybe he has some big hitting capability, right? Or maybe we unearth somebody in PSL.
Because
so, I mean, the number 15 in the squad, that could be a wild card, right? I think we have luxury to go with a wild card.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess that the annoying thing is, when you get injured for to miss a game, because if you get injured properly, then a replacement comes in. But you're injured for missing a game, that's where this becomes a bit challenging. So I guess we have our squad. I'm going to, by the way, once we put the squad up, I'm going to ask you guys to put up just share what you think the 11 should be. And we probably won't spend too much time debating it, because I don't think we're going to come to a conclusion. The squad should be on your screen now. So we have Babar, Rizwan, Fakhr, Saim, Ifti, Haris, and Azam Khan as a batsman. We have 3 keepers in there, by the way. Then we have Shadab, Nawaz, and Abrar / the best person in PSL as a 3rd spinner. And then we have Shaheen, Haris, Naseem, Wasim Joni, and Zaman. Going back to the Qazi's point about Imad Wasim, he's already announced retirement, so there's no point talking about it. Shoaibmalik announced retirement 2 years ago. And again, I don't think any of us think he should be on the panel. Does anyone want to talk about Shoaibmalik?
Shoaibmalik has not announced his retirement.
Sorry, he hasn't. But does anybody here want him to be in the squad? Because we can talk about it. Otherwise, I'm happy to move on. Okay, let's move on. And who else did you name, Qazi?
Sarfraz Ahmed, Mohammad Amir.
I mean, but I guess we can happy to move on. So, Qazi, I'm going to put the squad up. You can go first. Who do you see? What's your 11 for the first game in batting order?
Babar Rizwan, Saim Fakhr, Iftikhar, tough one, Mohammad Haris or Azam Khan. Mohammad Haris at 6. 7, 8 is Shadab and Nawaz, and then you've got Shaheen, Haris, and Naseem.
Okay, Omer, your 11.
So I start with Saim at the top with Rizwan. For me, the one, depending on who gets out, it's either Babar replacing Rizwan or Fakhr replacing Saim. So floating 1 down and 2 down, and then and then Ifti comes in for me, and then between Haris and Azam, that's a good debate. I think again PSL to tell me what to do there. But Haris has some cool performance internationally. Maybe he makes it in the first game for me, followed by Shadab, Nawaz. And then my top 3 pacers would be Shaheen, Naseem, and Haris.
Yeah, I guess my team is probably in line with Umar's, but I think the only difference is I would probably have Haris at 5 and Ifti at 6. Again, I think in T20 the order should be flexible. So I would probably
we have the same team.
Yeah, I think the only difference is you have Saim, so you have Babar and Rizwan opening, Omer has Saim opening. I feel like that's a big debate. I feel like because I think the biggest factor being Babar, I think plays equally well no matter where you play him, and I think he showed that statistically, right? So I feel like not because Babar and Rizwan are a weakness, but I feel like we need one of them to be perhaps batting a bit through the innings as well. So I like Babar coming in at 3. So I'm happy to have Saim and Rizwan open, and then have Babar at 3, and then Fakhr at 4. So I guess the Azam Haris is a tricky one, but I feel like Haris gets dips for me. Again, the only question mark by the way with Haris over Azam also is Haris. I don't know if he's ever batted at 5 and 6, right? But here we're saying he'll be batting at 5 and 6 if he plays. So, but I would probably still have him over the others. Any final thoughts, guys?
Yeah, so I think matchups are going to be important, like they always are in T20. Yeah. So I think that's where we need to be smart about it, and that's why I am interested to see how Shaheen, the captain, comes into play, right? Because Haris, for me, pacers are bowling. It's either Haris coming in, and then if it's spinners, is it a Fakhr? Is it if you've got Azam playing, does he come in? So I think hopefully we see some of those that being used. But that's mainly comes down to that.
And then again, right, in certain situations, you may have a Mohammad Wasim Jr. play over a Nawaz, which would happen. It would happen in the last T20 World Cup also, right? If you want to play 4 quicks and a best. But by the way, those of you watching, if you have a view on what you think the score should be or anybody you would include or leave out, please leave a comment. And while you're at it, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. And Omer, thank you for being on.
Thank you.
Omer, thank you for being on as well.
Thanks, Haris.
We'll probably do another one of these after the PSL to see what we think the squad looks like then. Probably be more of a final touch point. But thank you for watching, all of you, and we'll be back after the PSL with another version of this show. In the meantime, stay tuned to the shiny side.